All right, we're live.
Cool.
It looks like the hexologist is going to send his crowd over here in just a moment.
Sounds good. I'll keep a window open for the chat as well.
Awesome. I guess we can play the Hex anthem while we're waiting. That's always a good bet.
The hip hop one?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love it more and more every time I hear it.
Can you hear it?
It's kind of harsh.
It's too loud?
Yeah, it's like it's real tinny and harsh. Can we play it through the actual StreamYard? Or no?
I don't have that set up yet.
No.
We got all the other goodies set up.
Yeah. Let's just talk.
Cool.
Maddie's talking to you. You starting it up?
Yeah, we're live.
Want me to answer him?
Sure.
I was able to make some stakes today. I got that 500,000 hex, staked it out to 11, 12, 13, and 14 years. So
hey, that's what's up.
Yeah, it's a nice feeling.
Yeah, good for you, man. Me too. You know, I always got to have some kind of hex stuff to do. So figured I didn't exit the adoption amplifier on one of my things.
So what happens then?
I exited it today.
Oh, okay. They just sat there and then they minted for you?
Yeah, like I had to exit it.
Was it the last
I still have
day?
to go track down my referral and find where that hex is, but because I did it for the last day, you know.
Yeah.
I put like 0.1 ETH in as this, you know, everybody was doing it as a celebration for the last day, and then I was so busy with the 24-hour stream, I forgot about it.
That's funny.
So I went in there today and I got it out, and it worked.
Cool.
So I staked that for 5555. So that puts us at February 6th, 2036.
Something like that. Yeah, I got a few coming up then also. I was doing that for a while. I was either gonna wait to do 555 or do 4575 and lower. You know, it's starting to become quite an avalanche at that time.
Yeah.
You know, I have a feeling that in 10 and also 15 years there's going to be another large OA staking. You know, what do you think?
Well, yeah. Remember, the OA will adjust according to the best game theory for the entire product in the entire space.
Hexo's coming over.
In the OA, we trust, right? Because that's the game theory. It's the OA is incentivized to act in the best interest of everyone.
Right. Absolutely.
And we love that. Awesome. Cool. So Hexo just came over to us. So I'm going to close out of my window with him. Hello, everybody. Welcome to HexTherapy.live. I am your host, Matty Allen, and I'm joined by our co-host here.
Hey, how's it going? I was just trying to get the chat. Go ahead, Matty.
Joined by our co-host here, Joe Hexotic. And today, one of the topics that Joe and I are going to be discussing is how to actually make your hands stronger, right? We've got this idea here that either you're a strong hand or you're not. But right, the reality is that we all have to have the strongest hands possible at any given moment, right? So that we don't hit that big red button, and so that we continue to grow and support our community and grow as individuals, right? And so we're really excited to bring you some very concrete steps today that you can take in order to increase the activity in your prefrontal cortex. And so we're gonna get into that brain stuff here for you. And so I hope you'll stick around. First of all, Joe, I wanted to compliment you on your performance during the 24-hour stream. You told your story, and it was amazing, right? It blew me away to hear it again. I mean, you know, we already talked about it on our show, but you delivered an amazing performance. Can you tell me a little bit about how that went for you?
Yeah, absolutely. It was a dream come true. You know, it's not something that I've been thinking about my whole life. Obviously, it's so new, but I spent so much time over the past few months with Hexo and RG3 and watching crypto coffee, dollar cost, funding gym. So you know, to be able to be on stream with everybody and on such an important day for our community, it was a great party, you know, and I got a lot of great feedback, which, you know, the reason I wanted to share my story I mentioned before was I was inspired by David Feder, and I thought that, you know, perhaps because of the way I felt when I heard David, I felt truly inspired, and I connected because I went through the same thing. And because of my experience with the 12-step programs, I really enjoy sharing my story and getting feedback that it does help others. So
Yeah.
I certainly want to thank Hexo, you know, and RG3. But Hexo's an animal, you know, he's in all those guys that made the 24-hour stream, but Hexo in general for going every single day, going through that 24 hours, also back yesterday, now again today. It's really inspiring. That work ethic and that
Oh
commitment
yeah.
to the community is amazing. And I had a great time. And thank you so much, Ski Cat. I really appreciate it. I staked out the HEX today. I made 4 stakes, one for 11 years, one for 12, one for 13, and one for 14. Divided up that 500,000 HEX evenly. And boy, does it feel good to have, you know, to pay myself in the future on that level. That's really incredible. And I'm very appreciative of it. Very grateful, Ski Cat. Thank you.
Hell yeah.
How about you, Maddie? What was your experience like?
Oh, I loved it. I was gonna ask you, is it okay with you if I publish a clip after we get off our stream today of your presentation yet on the 24-hour stream?
Yeah, absolutely. I would love that. Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, I was preparing it right before we got on, and I didn't have a chance to ask you. So,
Wow. Yeah.
it's like that way you'll get to see the comments too. I recorded the comments.
Oh, I can't wait. Yeah.
They were
I didn't
amazing.
see anything yet, so I'm really looking forward to that. Thank you.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I was blown away by the 24-hour stream. I love how it was it was a culmination, right? It was like a celebration and
Yeah.
like a moment for the community, and everybody could tell that we were making history, and everybody could tell that it was something that hadn't happened before, right? And so you know, the price had to adjust due to the market expectations and due to the psychology of everything. And it really proved itself. I mean, you know, most of us were there and heard, you know, Richard's reaction of surprise that you know, that the dip was getting bought up so quick, and that that the community has really been a strength. And but also I think people were recognizing, because of you telling your story, that there is a psychology component to HEX, and there HEX actually does help people's mental health, it seems, right? And so this is an emergent property that we're learning about. This is an exciting thing that was unexpected. And it seems like that's how a lot of the coolest inventions of history go, right? There's like, the best example is the wheel, right? The wheel was getting used for pottery for 300 years before anybody used it for transportation. And so sometimes the most revolutionary technologies get used in more than one way, right? And so I think HEX is going to be used as money, and it's also going to be used for more than that. And so, Joe, I wanted to see if we could kind of go over a topic that is super important to me, something that I'm the most passionate about, probably out of anything other than HEX, is this idea of using omega-3 to improve your prefrontal cortex.
Okay, that sounds good.
Are you on board?
I'm on board. Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Oh, by the way, I love the throne. I know you say it every time, but
Thank you, Maddie. Thank you. Very comfortable, by the way. I like that background too.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I stole it from the HEX video.
Yeah, nice.
I love how it like zooms through cyberspace and it's like, oh, you're minting your own.
Right? Very cool.
Hey to the chat too. Hey everybody.
Yeah, hey everybody. Thanks for joining in.
We're really glad you're with us.
Look, I can see your comments. I'm watching Maddie Allen's live stream through D Live. So if you're still in Hexo's chat, Maddie, if you want to open that up, maybe I don't know if I can have both open and then still see what's going on, but I am inside of Maddie Allen's D Live at hextherapy.live.
Yes. Thanks for the plug. Subscribe if you guys would. We'd really appreciate it. We're going to be bringing you a lot of good HEX therapy stuff. And so let's jump in here. I've prepared a presentation, but I also want this to really kind of be like a discussion, Joe, between you and I. And so we'll just jump into the slides here whenever we need to. But I really wanted to talk about, so there's a lot of ways that we can appreciate what the prefrontal cortex part of the brain does for us. And so, Joe, I was thinking maybe you could tell me any therapy topic ever, and I'll try to see if I can think of a way that it relates to the prefrontal cortex.
Sure. One of my most recent experiences is with damaging my prefrontal cortex. So I had trouble regulating my emotions. I would get very angry or very sad very quickly, and then have trouble dissipating those emotions.
Yes. So you mentioned anger, and there's actually a neural circuit in the brain that's pretty unique when it comes to anger. And anger is mostly generated in a brain structure called the amygdala, which is in the deep brain. So in the middle and the deep part of the brain. And your prefrontal cortex is behind your forehead and your temples, right? And so the amygdala is one of the only centers in the brain where it's got connections, wires that go to the prefrontal cortex to dump inhibitory chemicals on the prefrontal cortex to shut down your thinking when you're angry. And so that's why a lot of times people report like seeing red or not making good decisions when they're angry. That's because the decision-making part of the brain has been shut down, right? And it turns out that the prefrontal cortex, that the amygdala also generates fear, right? So when we think of fear of missing out, buying the top, right? When we think about fear, uncertainty, and doubt, selling the bottom, right? It's the amygdala is the part of the brain that's signaling, that's having too much activity, and it's dumping chemicals on the prefrontal cortex to cause us to take action that is maybe not the wisest, or we know better than this, right? To make poor decisions. So
yeah, I felt like a child a lot of times, like looking back on it. It just felt like I responded to the absolute maximum degree without any control. It was, at the time, it wasn't very scary, but it started to become more scary. And then looking back on it, it was almost unfathomable that that's where I was. Yeah.
Anger can be very destructive interpersonally, right?
Oh yeah.
Anger and fear, like both. And in your case, it was the anger that took control, right? And it took control away from you. And that does resemble a child's behavior in some ways, right? Because children don't have their prefrontal cortexes developed yet, right?
Right.
And so that's why a 2-year-old or a 4-year-old can't inhibit their own behavior. Usually, it's something that they have to learn, that inhibitory control. And so we've identified one thing that you experience that is a therapy issue related to the prefrontal cortex, right?
Yep.
So let's. So what behaviors do we want to change, right? and it could be addiction, it could be a mental health, right? It could be changing somebody's ability to be motivated to do the things that they want to do, right? And oh, there's a picture of me in a brainwave net measuring my own brainwaves, and
Nice.
you can see that the brain is lighting up more on the top than it is on the bottom, and that's where the prefrontal cortex is. That's the part of the brain that that the more activity that you have there, the more electrical signal you get there, the more motivation you have, the more control you have. Let's talk about the other behaviors, right?
Okay.
And so you need the prefrontal cortex for problem solving, emotional regulation, preventing relapse to addictive substances or addictive behaviors in general, thinking about consequences, changing your own mood, healthy relationships, being self-aware, parenting, creativity, right? Those are all the human things that we do that are advanced behaviors.
Maddie, I didn't realize that preventing relapse would be a part of that. As an alcoholic, throughout my whole life, I've been an alcoholic, but when I got the head injury and got in a car accident and died, and I got a TBI, I wasn't drinking for about 5 months after the accident. It was something that I was trying to get help with, and it was difficult though. I almost had an obsession about it. I didn't have the bodily craving of the alcohol, but I had a mental obsession about it. And because of the medication I was on, it wasn't helping me. My ability to make good decisions was also decimated. So it's funny that preventing relapse will be a part of that, because it was something that I can, certainly attest to, that I struggled with. And that was probably the most difficult part, was having these uncontrollable urges. Once I would think about, I live in a place where there's 12 package stores, liquor stores within a 1 mile radius of my house. So being reminded of it all the time. And, I didn't know that. I didn't know that was part of it.
Yeah, it certainly is. And we didn't rehearse this ahead of time because we wanted it to be a real conversation live, right? So people are seeing it here for the first time, our genuine reactions. Your traumatic brain injury reminds me of the case, the first medical case where behavior was linked to the brain, right? Because we go back 500 or 1,000 years, people thought it was humors that made people act a certain way. George Washington was killed by his doctors when he had a cold because they bled him to death, because they're like, oh, this guy's important. We're really going to drain the blood out of him, because they thought blood was bad, right? Wow, so medicine is not always been a science. Right now, I don't think it's a science because there are too many middlemen to create incentives for medical progress. But we'll get into all that in the future. I know that, so Phineas Gage is the first neuropsychology case. And he was a railroad foreman, right? And back in the railroad days, they had to blast through mountains and stuff. So Phineas Gage, I mean, he was such a responsible worker and always kind of, by the book, on time, good interpersonal skills, people loved him, that sort of thing. He was blowing up a mountain one day, laying the railroad, and this huge railroad spike, a 6-foot spike, got blasted into the front of his head and blew out part of his prefrontal cortex.
Wow.
It didn't kill him, but he had a hole through his head that he ended up that was his living, was traveling from town to town, showing off how he had the spike and was showing how hit him in the head. But the man became unable to perform his duties for the railroad. He started swearing and cursing all the time. He developed a lot of addictive behavior. He was smoking and drinking constantly. He traveled from town to town, basically getting kicked out of each town he went to for being a drunk for many years before he died. And then the folks over at Harvard ended up digging him up a few years ago and mapping exactly which part of his brain he blew out, which part of the prefrontal cortex. But the bottom line is yes, addiction and self-control and being out of control and all these other things that are related to how much functioning you have in your prefrontal cortex.
Yeah, Maddie, I can relate to that story. Well, I grew up as quick as a whip, very intelligent. When I went to college, I graduated to salutatorian, gave the commencement speech at graduation, had a 3.96 GPA, had an incredible career. I was very confident, and I was recruited by a Fortune 500 company. When my accident happened, I was working there, and it was embarrassing to go through the human that the person that I used to be to what I became. I remember the day my boss pulled me aside. It was about a month after my accident, and I took work off for a week, and then I went back, and I didn't realize that I was any different. I just, my brain was only functioning on a certain level, and that's all I could know. And my boss pulled me aside one day and said, Joe, nothing to do with work, but as a father to another father, a friend to a friend, a man to a man, something's wrong with your brain. Would you please make another appointment with your neurologist? You've been forgetful. Whenever I was asked to do something, I would get it done immediately, and I would do the absolute best I could on it, and people could depend on me. To hear that I had requests, professionally at work that I wasn't fulfilling was it was heartbreaking. I had perfect attendance throughout college. I'd never missed a day of work. If I wasn't on vacation, I could work from home a lot as well, but I was really dedicated to my life in every aspect, and to be just a portion of the person that I used to be because of a bad decision that I made through addiction. It was really surreal to go through that, and I didn't know how it was going to turn out. I didn't know if this was forever. Thankfully, that was well over a year ago, and I've had a lot of growth, a lot of healing since then, and for the most part, I'm a lot better. I used to, I don't know if you ever remember 50 First Dates, that movie. There's a 12 second Tom, I think it is, or 10-second Tom. So if anybody talked to this guy in the sanitarium, you would go up and he'd say, "Hi, I'm Tom. How are you doing? What's your name?" And they would talk to him, and then he would turn around and then immediately say, "Hi, I'm Tom. How are you doing? What's your name?" And I was almost that bad. So it's I love this topic. Thank you.
Yes. And as a preview for what we're going to talk about today, we're going to cover how omega-3 can improve your prefrontal cortex functioning, and a commercial sleep device that improves your deep sleep, which prevents Alzheimer's probably, and improves your memory in the short term already. So that's what we're going to get to for those who are looking ahead. And speaking of the memory problems.
Maddie, before we get into anything, you want to just say hello to the chat and talk for a minute?
Hell yeah.
People that are in here.
Yeah. Hey, everybody. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, everybody came over, and they're saying what a great community this is. Thank you, Maddie and Joe. Somebody would like to become a moderator when we eventually can.
Oh, that's a good idea.
I'm trying to read everything. I apologize, guys, to sort of quickly and then paraphrase. So, there's are you looking at it also, Maddie, or do I have it? Yeah. Okay, cool. So I want to just thank everybody for the ice creams, the lemon Swearworks. Thank you for the ice cream. Reed Mark also. You guys are great. Hodel Dog followed us. Thank you, Hodel Dog. Good to see you in here.
Hey, thanks for following.
What's going on, guys? Thank you. Please feel free to chat with each other, and we'll certainly be checking in on it. It's a little different format, so to have the discussion go more fluidly. It's a little bit difficult to do both at once. So please, support each other as we do as Hexicans, and have some fun while we're going over this stuff, guys.
Thank you guys. Yeah. Thank you for being respectful to us and to each other. We really appreciate that. And we're lucky to have such an amazing community. So
set it off, Maddie. What do you
all
got?
right. Well, it turns out that the prefrontal cortex is the perfect way to organize what the goals are in therapy, right? And so it turns out that all of the things that we treat in substance abuse and mental health therapy are behaviors in which the prefrontal cortex is off. And all of the behaviors that we're trying to teach people are behaviors that occur while the prefrontal cortex is on, right? And so the list goes on and on. For those of you who are at home who are making a sandwich or mowing the lawn or whatever you do while you're listening, I'll just read out real quick what the examples of behaviors are when the prefrontal cortex is off. Stress, depression, ADHD, sleep deprivation, anger, anxiety, fear, FOMO, FUD, boredom, being under the influence of alcohol, withdraw, social isolation, sound familiar? Inactivity, hunger, right? And pain. These are all situations where the prefrontal cortex is getting relatively turned off. And what are things that turn on the prefrontal cortex or increase the electrical activity in that area of the brain? Relaxing activities, positive self-talk, good sleep, regulating your emotions, mindfulness, building your hobbies and interests, doing talk therapy, having healthy relationships, exercise, protein, new learning. But the problem is that all of these behaviors are only achievable, right, if your prefrontal cortex is not leaking electricity, right?
Yeah, I was going to say, Maddie, because it's when I remember when I first was exposed to those behaviors when it's on and mine was off, I was always thinking about, like, it's ridiculous. If I could positive self-talk, if I could get good sleep, I would. Everything on that list was so difficult. I'd like to just draw the correlation to like how I felt about HEX when I first onboarded. It was all so much for me. It was a lot to digest, and I just basically got in a very little bit. And then, whatever I was comfortable with is exploring more, watching Richard's videos. It was very similar to how I became more healthy with my brain as well. The correlation is great.
Yeah, for sure. This is something that a lot of people will be able to relate to, right? Being stressed, depressed, bored, angry, right? Tired. We all stayed up the other day for 24 hours straight celebrating the HEX Genesis Payday. I think that's a good name for it. Genesis nice. Payday. So we know that the prefrontal cortex is important, right, for behavior. And now let's look at it from an electrical perspective, right? And so everybody has a phone charger, right? And your phone charger is like any other electrical cord that you have in your life. It's covered with a rubber insulation, right? And the reason for the rubber insulation is because electricity is leaky and shocky, right? And so same thing in the brain. We don't want the electricity to leak out, and we want the electrical wires in the brain to be insulated. And so everything in the brain has a little different name, right? But it's the electrical wires in the brain are called axons, and the rubber insulation that goes around them is called the myelin sheath, right?
Not actually rubber though, right, Manny?
Myelin, yeah, myelin sheath is
not actually rubber. Just
correct.
Around.
Oh yeah, and rubber, I barely know her. Okay, I'm not gonna quit my day job and become a comedian. Right. So the electrical wires, they need to be insulated, and so an example of what happens when your electrical wires are not insulated would be with the MS, multiple sclerosis. In multiple sclerosis, over a period of many years, the insulation on the electrical wires going between your brain and your muscles in your body it gets worn away. It's eaten away by the immune system, and so the person eventually goes paralyzed, right, and slowly loses muscle function, right. all of your muscles are connected to your brain with wires, right? And those wires need to be insulated, just like in the brain within the prefrontal cortex, right? And there's this certain kind of brain cell, and it's kind of fun for me to say, an ogliodendrocyte is the type of brain cell that installs the myelin onto the axons to form the electrical insulation. And that's a type of glial cell that supports cells in the brain. You don't need to remember that. That's just for fun, right?
That's a great name for social media if we want to make an account and be oligodendrocytes, just so that Hexo has to say it on his show, you know?
Oh, yeah. We'll go easy on him. So if your brain, if all of the electrical insulation was taken off of your brain, it would weigh 20% less, right?
Wow.
And so that's how important the electrical. It's even more important than that, actually. And it turns out the cavemen and cavewomen got plenty of omega-3 because they ate animals that ate wild grasses and stuff. But now with modern agriculture, right, like cost cutting and corporations trying to squeeze the last buck out, right? We humans now mostly just eat genetically modified corn syrup, derivatives, and sugar. And if we do eat meat, then the meat was fed the the genetically modified corn, that sort of thing. And so the omega-3 doesn't work its way up the food chain like it used to. And omega-3 is the material that your body needs in order to create the electrical insulation.
I know it from fish, I believe. Is that right? It's in a lot of fish, and so I would imagine the cavemen also ate a lot of fish and seafood.
They whatever they ate, the meat and the fish that they hunted down, it all had omega-3, right?
Okay.
And so that's a good question. It's in most fish, but not all.
Okay.
Let's see. So you need omega-3 in order to insulate the electrical wires in the brain, and this will lead to actually huge changes in your behavior. And so if anybody wants to start taking omega-3, it will really only take 1 or 2 hexagons trying it, and it will change their lives so much that then I think everybody will have a lot more examples. And the first example I can give you is for my life, how omega-3 changed my life. And I was already doing pretty well in life. I thought I was pretty high functioning. I got my master's degree in clinical psychology. I was working on my PhD, and I was okay with the lifestyle I was living. I was okay with eating whatever I wanted, not exercising, blah, 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 because I felt good about myself. I was kind of following this pattern that most adults follow, where you kind of gain more weight the older you are, and you get comfortable and you believe that motivation is just something you either have it or you don't, and you kind of do your best in life, and either you can be happy with that or not, right? I had learned about omega-3 for a long time, but then I had some very difficult clinical cases that I was working with, people that I was trying to help. And so I started going back to what I had learned in my neuroscience training and decided to recommend it to some clients. And it changed their lives so much. It astounded me. But before I could even get my clients to start taking omega-3, I had to start taking it myself. And I did that because I wanted, not because I knew that it would change my life, but because I wanted to figure out how to get people to do it. I figured if I could make myself do it, then maybe I could encourage other people to do it. And so I had actually been teaching not about omega-3, but about setting low motivation goals for yourself. And the psychological trick here is that if we only set large goals for ourselves, then it's very infrequently that we'll actually have the motivation to do it, and that we'll get the reward of a job well done and completing it. And so when we break our goals into such small tasks that we can do them even when we have a low motivation, then it becomes I'm achieving my goals many, many, many times over. And that actually increases the amount of motivation that somebody has when they're feeling good about achieving a small goal. And then the trick is to not increase the size of your goals every time. And it takes mindfulness to constantly keep setting low motivation goals. High motivation is fine. It's just, it comes and goes. It's unpredictable. And so if you're waiting to change your behavior until you have high motivation, you could be waiting a long time. And then you've got so many changes that you want to make once you do get the high motivation that it's never enough, and you're split in all these different directions, right? And so that's the power of setting low motivation goals. So my low motivation goal for myself was to take omega-3 once a day.
Maddie, say that again. I'm sorry, you broke up just for a second. What was it?
My low motivation goal for myself was to take omega-3 once a day.
Okay.
And so I didn't know that it would change my life. I just figured here's something I can do to practice this other skill I'm teaching, setting low motivation goals.
Right.
Another example of a low motivation goal would be like flossing one tooth.
Okay.
I stole this from a behavior scientist speech. It was like a TED Talk or something. So
cool.
I'm just giving credit where credit is due, right?
Yeah.
And so after I had been taking the omega-3 for about a month, then I had this aha moment, like a light bulb went off in my head, and I said, wait a second, like literally out of nowhere, I realized that it was easier for me to like complete chores that my entire life I had found to be a nuisance or not exciting or anything, so it seems like kind of a small thing, but it was a big enough difference to me. My level of motivation in household chores and in just in general, it seemed like my energy level and the clarity in my thinking, like all of a sudden got better. And it didn't take me much thought to identify, wait a second, maybe this is the omega-3, right? Because wait a second, that does improve the prefrontal cortex, and that must be what this behavior change is all about. And so as I continued to take the omega-3, then I just had this explosion in behavior change and my ability to set a goal and to achieve it, and to change behaviors that I had always been stuck with, right? And so I started learning about how to track calories, and I lost 40 pounds, right?
Wow.
And I got a picture to show.
Maddie, I wanted to just jump in about a goal is, it's relative to everybody. What I've learned, throughout my life, they need to be measurable, achievable, and have a timetable, adapted or along with them. And wow, that's you?
Yeah. That's me, just kind of like chilling, kicking it, keeping it real. And then started taking omega-3, and then I got fit, right?
Good man.
Because it's not that omega-3 makes you lose weight, right? It's that omega-3 supercharges your brain, and I became interested in, let me learn about calories, right? Like, because the electricity wasn't leaking out of the front of my brain, I was able to control my behaviors better, right? And that made all the difference.
Yeah. And did you ramp up incrementally then with your goals then?
Oh,
Once you started?
yeah.
Okay.
I followed the Mayo Clinic, Johns Hopkins stuff. Like, don't lose more than 2 to 3 pounds a week, otherwise you're going to kick in the famine mechanism in your brain that slows down your metabolism. The hypothalamus is like this like pinky fingernail sized structure in the back of your head, and it controls your sexual appetite, your food appetite, and it keeps track of how many hours of sleep you've missed.
Okay.
A lot of behavior for such a small part of the brain, but you could go from eating whatever you want to eating super healthy, and if you start losing more than 3 pounds a week, then your metabolism slows down, and you could keep eating healthy things, and you'll stop losing weight. Or if you go back to eating what you normally did, you would actually go up in weight compared to where you started. So it's like one of those things that is complicated until you realize it, and then it's like, oh, okay, I'm just going to use the Fitbit app. I don't even have to own a Fitbit, and then I can scan all the food that I'm eating and enter my food log and see how many calories I'm eating, and then make the decision ahead of time, like how much of a serving to get or whatever. And
I've done that before also, Maddie. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Gamifying losing weight, and it's a chore, but if your brain is like super hungry for understanding how nutrition facts work and that sort of thing, then it's much easier, right? We can't change our behaviors if our prefrontal cortex isn't working right, and that goes the same for not panic selling HEX, right? And like living longer and all these things are really prefrontal cortex activities. Being more productive at work, right?
Yeah, I was thinking when I used that app, I would track everything that I was eating, enter the calories, how much they were, follow the serving size, and then I'd realize after a little while of treating myself really good, if I wanted to have some ice cream, I felt great about it. It's a lot like taking profits from HEX, right? Like as long as you keep staking out, keep staking long, when that time comes to take profits, it's going to be a reward, and it's going to be a great feeling that you're not going to feel guilty about. Maybe dumping on the HEX community might make you feel a little bit funny, but everybody needs to take profits, and if you log what you're doing, if you do the right thing, and ladder out, there's nothing wrong with it, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Just don't dump tonight,
And kind of the changes to your diet, like they can't be extreme, or you'll run into that evolutionary mechanism where everybody who didn't have their metabolism slow down when there was a famine, they're extinct, right? And all of us here are like people who do have difficulty losing weight, right? And so I did the intermittent fasting. I still do that throughout the week, where it's counterintuitive, most of this stuff, right? Because so I'll eat a high protein thing in the morning that's easy, and then I'll do something. I'll eat plenty of calories at night, and so there's 12 hours between the times that I'm eating. Always there's 12 hours between breakfast and dinner, and between dinner and breakfast, and I don't get hungry in between. Why don't I get hungry? Because I'm not drinking soda. I'm not consuming any. If I have one M&M, then I'm hungry all day, right? Because I've broken the fast. Your body goes into ketosis, and so it's counterintuitive. It's like, wait, if I don't eat, then I won't be hungry, and if I do eat, then I will be hungry, right? That's backwards. Our minds are like set up to say, well, like, no, eating makes you full, and not eating makes you hungry.
Right.
But that's not how it is. But the way that I changed my behavior with eating was just literally like just taking my normal food, and just every time I went to the store once a week, just like get like one slightly healthier thing, like make one adjustment out of a whole shopping cart full of food. Just like,
Wow.
just take it from like, oh, I love these type of chips, like the most ever. And like, I'm just going to go to like something I like a little bit less than that's a little bit healthier. And so by that, and that's really, I don't know, for me, that changed the game because it wasn't overwhelming. And it was, again, these like low motivation strategies. Like I never had to be motivated to lose weight or to get healthy or to start exercising and to do all these healthy things. Because first of all, I started out with the most important thing of all, which was focusing on what's going to give me the best return in my prefrontal cortex is using omega-3 to stop the electricity from leaking out, right? And then boom, everything gets easier. I worked with 3 individuals during one semester of time when these 3 individuals all went from being homeless to getting straight A's in their first semester of college as 20 or 30 something year olds because they started taking omega-3. And I know it's because they started taking omega-3 because some of them refused to take it for so long. I got a really good idea of their baseline behavior. And so this is not medical, financial, or therapy advice. This is free speech. But there is one thing that we mentioned that is kind of magical or superstitious about omega-3, right? And there it is.
Maddie, it's funny. 369, omega 369. That's incredible. That I was thinking, we were talking before. I'd like to start taking omega 3s, and I was thinking, why not check in with you in 30 days, 60 days, and 90 days just to keep that 369 going. I don't know how long it takes for somebody to feel the effects of it, but you just said a month for you, right? Was that when you really first noticed it, or was it progressively along that month?
It was a month because I didn't think it would change anything. And so it literally took me going, like sitting there and thinking like, why am I a different person all of a sudden? Why is life easier now? It was like, and I had to think, like, I was thinking like, it was the omega-3, right? So like, but as hundreds of therapy clients that I've worked with, who mostly had substance abuse problems, and mental health, as I've worked with them over the past 3 or 4 years, I've been taking omega-3. They've reported, and when they say omega-3 changed my life, I'm like, no, it didn't. You're just saying, like I question it. And then I get to see what they really think. It's usually between 1 and 4 weeks is what I say for you to. This isn't something where it's like, oh, I'm taking my multivitamin, like I'm good for me now. I can't really. No, this is like night and day. It was for me, and it has been for other people. Where it's like, you're taking it, and you notice the difference. It's a noticeable effect, which is pretty hard to find out of any behavioral intervention. And probably the reason why I didn't notice it at a week or 2 or 3 weeks is because I wasn't looking for it.
Right. I
didn't know that it would be coming. And the most common benefit that people say is that they think more clearly. Chia seeds in the chat. Yeah, that's a form of omega-3 that Spartans, or I think it was Spartan, like some Roman armies or something, used to use before the battle. Highly, extremely high source of omega-3 and antioxidants, in fact.
Maddie, I'm gonna get off for a second. I'll be right back on. Am I breaking up? Because you are. I just want to make sure that I have a good connection. You feel like
Sure,
you're cutting up at all?
I can hear you just fine.
Okay, all right. I'll keep it going.
Yeah.
You have any? Sorry.
Yeah, we should be good. Chia pets. So chia pets. Listen, I can go. I can tell you anything you want to know about omega-3 almost. Chia pets, right? So those are chia seeds. They have not been washed for human consumption, right? So if you get those and you want to be funny and you're growing a chia pet, right, and you want to eat that, that's fine. Just make sure you clean it first.
You know,
It's me. I'm breaking up.
Sometimes your audio is cutting out on my end, and then sometimes my video is going away. So I'm just wondering, you know, what's going on. Do you have any background?
I'm trying to get my hair off my AirPods to see if that helps.
It was making me think earlier when you were talking about your grocery shopping. You know, I was drawing a correlation between dollar cost averaging in. You know, it was kind of like doing the right thing little by little, getting in until you're, you know, can experience the payoff.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
that was pretty cool.
Let me just throw up the last couple of slides so we can get rid of that, and maybe that's part of the problem with the stream.
They're saying in the chat it's good now, Maddie, but when it does happen, it is on your end.
Okay, maybe, yeah, we'll close out some applications here on my computer, and maybe that'll help.
Okay, cool.
There's our chia seed character.
Nice. I didn't know chia seeds were inside of a chia pet till just now.
So I recommend that if you're gonna do this, so the limitation is if you're on a blood thinner, then talk to your doctor first. Otherwise, omega-3 is supposed to be in our food, so it's okay to use, not medical advice. Check with your doctor. If you're using something that thins your blood, technically there are things that thin your blood that are not considered blood thinners. Medicine's weird, but ibuprofen, aspirin, stuff like that, you're taking that every day. Check with your doctor anyway, just to see if you're supposed to be taking that every day, and then see about the omega-3. Omega-3 thins your blood just a little bit because our blood is already too thick, and it has tons of other health benefits. I mean, the rubbery material that omega-3 is needed to create in the body, lots of organs need that. Your heart valves need omega-3 rubbery material. Your eyeballs are made out of omega-3, right? And so it actually gets prescribed for elderly people anyway for health, to improve their health. Richard takes omega-3. Okay, I'm just saying if that helps sell you on it.
It does. I mean, it's important to have somebody that, you know, a role model. It's definitely important. When you were telling me about your experience with it, you know, it's funny that there used to be the snake oil salesman, right? Like guys back in the days roaming around the different parts of the country selling snake oil. And when you and I were talking last night, I was, you know, thinking to myself, Maddie's a fish oil salesman, you know? But then you
believe it.
You explained to me, you know, and in great detail today. So it's great to see somebody that that I trust like you and that I believe in. And also, you know, if Richard's taking it, his experience so far with extending life and health is, you know, I've watched him go from the past 5 years through videos to be seen, you know, somewhat small guy to a out of shape guy. And now he seems like he's getting his body together, you know, and if you and Richard are taking omega-3, I'm intrigued by it. You know, I struggle with some of those same things that we started this conversation about with still. So I'd be interested to see how the next, you know, 3 to 9 months, or I'm sorry, 1 to 3 months go with it, you know, and hopefully it's something I'll really benefit from. Yeah.
I think that, I mean, this is something 15% of US adults have figured out to take omega-3. And, but if we can get the HEX community to be taking something like this that supercharges your brain, I mean, we're already a smart bunch. And so to have stronger hands, I think is part of the goal of our community, and that'll help us all. I think it'll be a community good. And
Nadia, a question in the chat is all of those things that were on the slides, are they all fish oil? Is that all?
So there's a slight difference between omega-3 and fish oil, and there's enough similar about them that both kind of work. So I recommend if you already have fish oil, finish that out. But if you're going to get some, go for omega-3. There's more krill oil in fish oil, and krill oil like helps to absorb the actual omega-3. But why not just get what you really need with the omega-3 itself?
If you don't mind, Maddie, what's the brand that you take, and is it expensive?
I use the Sam's Club kind that's omega-369, and that's maybe the kind you want, everybody, because we love 369 because it's the minimum amount of that we get paid, and the inflation in HEX. But I also recommend just omega-3 from Walmart, anywhere that you get food, usually any pharmacy, anything. It's not by prescription, so you can just buy it over the counter. Walmart sells a month's supply of omega-3 for $5.94.
Wow.
The omega-6 isn't important because there's omega-6 in everything, like all of your junk food and all of your regular food. It's just the omega-3 and the omega-9 that people are lacking. And so the omega-3 is a fatty acid, and it's not like it's not like an acid that dissolves stuff, and it's not a fat, like it's going to make you fat, right? It's a building block for the body.
Protein synthesis, right? Promotes protein synthesis.
I think so.
Yeah,
I think that's right. I had one client who told me they had a dog for a number of years. It was so bad they were getting ready to get rid of it, and then they started feeding it omega-3, and it like got on good behavior. So I'm gonna say, like, I'm not a doctor, and I'm definitely not a pet doctor. So like, go easy on the omega-3 with your pets. I don't want them to drop dead or anything.
Yeah, and just to reiterate Maddie's point, certainly talk to a doctor if you're thinking about changing.
Yeah, check with your vet first before Fido goes on the omega-3, right?
That's right.
But I guess if you're already getting rid of the dog, it's like less risky than like the dog that you love that's your best friend, right?
Absolutely.
Not veterinary advice, right?
For sure.
Start off with 1,000 milligrams once a day with food. That'll help you digest it better. And then you can go to 2,000 milligrams a day whenever. I take mine with food always. And these are, see, it says 1,600 milligrams on the bottle, but then that's a lie because you have to take 2 to get that. So I take 16. I take 2. So I take 1,600 milligrams a day.
What's one of those pills look like, Maddie? How big are they? Are they a large horse pill, or is it?
Yeah. I ate one just earlier here, but it's like,
okay, that's not bad at all.
It's pretty big. It's bigger than it looks on screen.
Okay.
So some people who have trouble swallowing pills, they'll buy the 500 milligram ones. So those are half the size, and then
it's like more of it. It's probably like a 6-inch pill, but you have gigantically strong hands. So when you show it up on the screen, it looks
correct. Correct. And then the gummies like don't have any barely in them. So like the omega-3 gummies are like you have to eat like 10 or 12 of them to get that much, to get like 1,000 milligrams. So like don't mess with that as much.
Cool. And is there any negative side effects then that you've ever had anybody experience, that go along with just starting out, other than stomach discomfort, or perhaps when you're at a couple times a day dose? Is there anything that anybody's experienced that they've given negative feedback on it?
Just upset stomach.
Okay.
And fish burps.
Fish burps, yeah.
But you can buy the ones that are thicker, so they're anti-burp, or you can take the regular ones and throw them in the freezer, and then they get like deeper into your digestive system before they break down, and then you don't get the fish burps.
It's funny you said that.
I never had the fish burps. I tried to take omega-3 like 10 or 15 years ago, and I did. So I don't know why, but
that's when you take them on an empty stomach. I remember back, I told you last night when I took them when I was younger, I certainly wasn't in the right health mindset. I was drinking and smoking marijuana all the time, not sleeping, partying. And, I thought that if I took a few supplements, all of a sudden I would feel like a Superman. But so I'm looking forward to try this again. But what I remember about that experience is that I used to not eat regularly. I ate terribly. And most of the times when I took those pills, either fish oil or omega-3, I certainly remember the fish burps. So if there's a way to get around that by freezing them, I'm in.
Yeah, cool. Take them with food for the first week, 1,000 milligrams a day with food. And this is not going to be the only thing you have to do in order to have mad gains in your behavioral control, right? At best, what omega-3 will do is stop the electricity from leaking out of the front of your brain like it was leaking out of the front of my brain without me knowing it. But you still have to have the electricity go into your brain and do its job. So if you aren't eating enough, if you're starving yourself and not getting enough protein, then you're not going to be, the electricity isn't even going to get injected into the insulated wires, more or less. So this isn't, if you're constantly sleep depriving yourself, then you're going to have less electrical activity in the prefrontal cortex anyway. But this is like this is how you stop the electricity from leaking out, and that is a big enough problem in so many people that it leads to these mad gains.
Maddie, I can imagine that this is more important than I've ever thought about, and I relate it to recording arts and an actual wire connecting a microphone to a preamp, and if that gets damaged, the electrical signal has interference. I never really thought about protecting the myelin sheaths in my brain with that rubber casing like that. It makes a lot of sense. I'm really looking forward to seeing what the difference is going to be. It's intriguing.
Hell yeah. I'm super excited to share this. This is like I said, I'm super passionate about it. Like it means a lot to me that you're wanting to try it, and I'm super confident it'll help. Awesome. Yeah, like normally at this point, then if because I work with a lot of people who are court mandated to be there, and so and this is like my big pitch that I give them. I tell them, oh, this could help their depression, anxiety, boredom, whatever it is, and then I ask, like, well, what's going to be the most difficult part of starting omega-3 for you?
Are you still going to sign my community service sheet as we do this? If I don't, I guess that would be the only thing I'd be worried about. Am I still going to get credit for this? There's nothing difficult about it. If it's relatively inexpensive, if it's $5 to $10 a month, really just the getting in the habit, I suppose. Not forgetting that it's in my freezer every day. Routine's really important for me. I love to get up in the morning when the sun comes up, and if in an ideal world, go to bed when the sun goes down. When I'm not in that routine, and sometimes maybe I miss a little bit of sleep, and then I try to catch up on a Saturday or Sunday, maybe I miss a day. So I guess it would be to integrate it into my routine so that I would be taking it consistently in a pattern that is viable.
So I love this because it brings us to these other skills, right? So how do you build something into how do you make a habit out of something, right? Is the best way to do that is to create a behavioral trigger for it. So for me, I was creating a low motivation goal, which was, take this vitamin supplement thing once a day. And but I had to place that, I had to attach it to some other behavior that I do every day. So the rule that I created for myself was, when I prepare a meal at home for myself, take omega-3 before I start preparing that meal. And then, of course, I can always forget that, right? Or I could always be away from home. But I got into the habit of doing it then. And then it's not this variable thing where it's like all day I have to like randomly think of it. And then I have to drop whatever I'm doing. And like, you know, it's like the omega-3 is already in the kitchen, you know, like it's in my way. So I kind of, I have to run across it, and that also decreases the amount of motivation that's required in order to perform the behavior change. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. I also heard I'm making up the time frame, but it sounds right that in order to make a new habit, it takes 90 days. Is that right, or is it 3 weeks? I remember right before my brain injury, that was a big thing where I was working as we were trying there, you know, the bosses were trying to instill how to create new habits for everybody, and then how to communicate that information. And I forget the metric. I don't know if you
that doesn't seem to be very scientific, because it depends what habit we're talking about.
Right.
So it's not specific enough to be a very scientific thing, but we like answering that kind of a question. What does it take to create a habit? If we know what the habit is, and we know who is going to be doing it, and we know what point they're starting from, and all of that kind of stuff. But that doesn't sell books as well as 90-day habit, or you know, something like that. So
yeah.
But you know, it does sell books, and I'm just joking here, but not your health, not your wealth. That's a good one. Somebody has heard 28 days, 3 weeks. Okay, so the chat has had some experience with creating healthy habits. Good. So we talked about how omega-3 is something that can improve your behavioral control, right? And so the other thing that I promised here that we would have as a way to improve your prefrontal cortex functioning is by being able to 2 to 3x your sleep quality, right? How does that sound?
It sounds unbelievable, and I know you very well. You know, it's through our short time together, we've talked extensively, and I believe in what you do. So I remember the first time you told me about that you had a device that you sleep with. I was intrigued again, but I thought like, well, this is a little bit crazy. And just the fact that you're, you know, you can be so excited about it, and that it can increase to that magnitude of 2 and 3x. I mean, if you know that's unbelievable. It really is.
It talk about saving time and like functioning better, right? Like 2 to 3x your sleep sounds too good to be true. But that's until you consider what the device actually does. So I've got this here. I do not have a referral link. You can't send me money. But here it is the Philips Deep Sleep Headband. This is the device that I've been using for 11 months now to improve my sleep. And I've got the data to prove it here. So as you know, I started off as being a brainwave researcher for 7 years. And so I love me some brainwaves. And that's what this device does, is it has 2 electrodes, and it measures the brainwave activity that I have while I'm sleeping. And it's got 2 headphones built into it that are like kind of like a jelly material or something. And so
jelly?
I don't know. It's
not wet on your ears though, right?
They're soft enough that you can, you know, sleep in any way, and you're not hurting yourself. And these headphones wait until you're ready to do some deep sleep activity, and then they inject slow waves. I say inject. I don't know if that's the good term, but they play slow wave sounds that you won't hear because you're asleep, and that allows your brain waves to ride on top of those slow waves. maybe I can try to explain why that's important. So the sleep must have a pretty important purpose, given that humans need to spend about a quarter to a third of their lives doing it, right? And if humans sleeping is kind of a security risk too, because someone can attack you in your sleep and all, and like it's not very good for like experiencing things and getting rewards and finding food and all the right. So like sleep, like what's the deal with it anyway, right? And the deal with it is that it's so important for our brain's memory function, because it turns out that not only is it important to remember things, but it's also important to forget things. Okay, don't forget your seed words and don't share them with anybody.
That's right.
Public reminder. But so with your memory, you need to forget everything that's not important, and you need to remember everything that is important. Every cell in your body, Joe, is less than 7 years old, but I bet you have memories from more than 7 years ago. Is that right?
That's miraculous. Absolutely. That's really incredible.
So the way that that's possible is because the cells that originally store the memories, they have to transfer that data to other cells. And we know that memories are stored in the hippocampus, which is in the back of your head.
Oh, I didn't know that.
The way that that memories get transferred to newer cells that aren't going to die and then the memory is lost is by beaming the information all the way up to the prefrontal cortex from the hippocampus while you're sleeping. And so and the prefrontal cortex can use your working memory when you're asleep, uses your working memory to reorganize and compress the memory and then send it to other newer cells that are maybe even related to that, and to package it in a way that is computationally efficient and being stored in newer cells. Okay?
Sounds like a fork on the blockchain, Matty.
It might be. Forks are more contentious, though. So why does this matter with sleep? So when you sleep, you don't have all of your high frequency brainwave activity happening, and so you have slow waves that are supposed to be occurring during sleep. And Richard would like this because he was into selling car stereo systems, and so the base of a car system helps you understand how brainwaves move, because you'll only hear the bass that's booming through the neighborhood and going through the walls of your house, so you can hear the bass of the sound system from far away. And why can't you hear the rest of the sounds? Only the bass is because the bass is a slow wave. And because it's a slow wave, it can travel through objects instead of being high frequency and bouncing off of objects.
It's a low frequency long wave. So the human ear can hear from 20 hertz to 20,000 hertz. And typically a bass is going to be at 160 hertz or below. And the things that pound are about 80. But anything below 20 hertz, the human ear can't hear.
Yeah.
Most humans.
And so because these are lower frequency waves, they can travel longer distances and they can go through other parts of the brain. And so that's why during sleep, that's when we don't have all this high frequency activity going on, where we're alert and oriented, and so the data transfer can occur through these slow waves. And it turns out that medical researchers spent many years and many billions of dollars going in the wrong direction on Alzheimer's disease, which is a disease of the increasing age decreases your memory. And it turns out that it also decreases your slow wave sleep. And so it appears that when that this is actually probably a much better way to prevent Alzheimer's is by having a device that increases your slow wave sleep in a way that's measurable. It measures how much more slow wave sleep it generates by having these sound waves carrying the signal, and the brain waves are able to travel along with that signal on those electrical pathways. And
now,
so,
is this device plugged in? Do you charge it, or
you charge it?
You charge it and just put it on.
Yeah, I've got it.
Okay.
I got it right here. I mean, I don't know if we want a demonstration or something.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Definitely.
I got these AirPods on already, but so it might mess up. But so I got my electrodes, right, and so I can take my electrode with the gel there, and then I can put it behind my ear. There's kind of like this is a good place to get a signal, is right behind the ear. And so I put my electrode back there behind the ear, and it's got a little snap on it where I can snap that on. And that goes to this this cord right here that's connected to the sleep band. Okay. And so I'm gonna get my wire there, and I'm gonna slide this on, and then I'm gonna connect the wire here. Get my hair.
Do you do that to both sides, Matty, or just that one
side?
No,
just one side.
Wow.
And so normally I have my hair like up when I do this.
Does that happen to function as a pillow at all? If you were to happen to be on a hard surface, could you actually get some relief from putting that on, or is it so light that
not so much? I can sleep sitting up like pretty well. So then, right, it's like going over, and I'm not going to put it all the way on, but these side parts have the speakers in them, and so
wow.
So it's going to go over my ears like that. And so, I mean, how do I put this? I still do just fine with the ladies, like even wearing this. So I guess I just have awesome game or something, right? But like, yeah, whatever. It looks dorky. I don't care. And so like there's a dry electrode here. And so with 2 electrodes, you can get a good enough signal to know what what stage of sleep you're in. And so literally like you take like a drop of water or like some spit, and then you just like you just put it on your forehead underneath that dry electrode, and then the dry electrode can make enough of a connection to do its job. And then I press the button on the top here, and that looks for a signal, and then it'll make a sound in my ear that it made a connection. And then it'll turn green for a minute and then go off.
Matty, a couple of things. Wanted to say hello to Richard. Richard's here. He said he loves live streaming. And then also, can we make it zap by donating lemons is the question.
Oh, not a shock treatment?
Yeah, while you're online, Lazy for Life wants to know if you donate some lemons, will you feel it? So,
coming soon, I guess, right? Like
interaction.
all of the any tips that we get, we're going to donate to the other channels. We're going to tip them back. So no worries there. So if it'd be all right, I can share the data. I think I'm going to leave this on because I just it's so weird and funny. But
it's a day for hats again. So go.
Oh yeah. Let me share the data that I've taken from the last few days, including the the days surrounding the 24-hour live stream, so that we can see the difference it makes between like getting the right number of hours of sleep and what the mad gains are, right, in the quality of my sleep. So let's see if I can share this here. I might have to zoom in, right? So we got the picture of me looking fat, right, and then picture that's the omega-3 stuff we talked about, and then here I don't know if I can zoom in. So it's gonna assign me a sleep score. This is November 18th, one of my best friend's birthday, and let's see. And so it gives us a point system based on a lot of like weird factors, like is my sleep Am I going to bed within an hour at the same time every day, and waking up within an hour at the same time every day? And am I spending enough hours to sleep and stuff like that? And so we'll see. There were plenty of other days when I did not get a score of 100, right?
Matty, you know what it looks like real quick? It looks like the Staker app with the penalties paid.
That's exactly what it is. In fact, yes. Shout out to Staker app. Thank you so much.
Right. Thank you, Steph.
Gamifying HEX. So it's showing here whether I have any deductions for spending too much time awake. And so it's like, it's trying to train me, right? It's like, do better. So like when I used to like fall asleep by reading articles about cryptocurrency, then it would yell at me like, oh, minus 10 points for like not going right to bed when you put the sleep band on and stuff like that. And then how many times was I awakened? How many times did my cat bite me in my sleep, right? Like number of awakenings. And then the sleep routine, like wake up and go to sleep amount of time. And then the sleep stages are best represented by actually looking at the brainwave data. It's this sleep stage data. So here for the same day, we can see a graph showing what stage of sleep I was in by time. And the little, I don't know if you can see my cursor here. It's like really small.
Okay, man. Like real quick, again, Unhexable says your sleep looks like it's 100% staked on the last screen. And then also Tobe 23ler says EES is when you wake up during REM sleep to take a piss.
Yeah. Don't emergency end stake in your sleep. You'll regret it.
That's funny.
Guys. What a nightmare. So you can see here, like this is the time when I was in deep sleep, and like the turquoise band is like how much of that deep sleep is attributable to the device. That's how much my boost was. You can see down here, I was in deep sleep for 2 hours and 22 minutes, and an hour 39 of that was the device boosting.
Daily interest, Matty?
Yeah. Daily interest. Oh, yeah. I can focus better and I make, right? This is the reason we're talking about it, is because better sleep helps you have stronger hands and increases your prefrontal cortex activity, right? So that's the idea. But let's look at the variability that we see going into big payday. And this was my big rest day, and then oops, 53 on November 19th.
So before the 24-hour stream on the actual day of big payday, as it rolled over, is that what that is?
I mean, I didn't sleep that day, so I don't know what this is really, but. And it's like got a 0-day problem where it's like, I don't know if it was today, was it the day I went to sleep or the day I woke up? That's the date. But let's see how much sleep I actually got that day. Narrow it down. Yikes. You can see a lot less stages of sleep. Ouch. What is this? This was the 19th now.
It's less dynamic and more static and square.
Deep sleep, only 1 hour of deep sleep. Sleep boost time, half an hour. So this double more than 2x my deep sleep quality that matters so much. Look at that REM. You're gonna see in the next day or two where I go into REM rebound because I stayed up for the 24-hour stream.
It looks like a chart. It looks like a chart that nobody's buying. Only the bots are buying.
That's right. Now we go into, I only get, like I got such little sleep for the 24-hour stream that it doesn't even show me my sleep score. It's like, it's wrecked, right? And then here's like my sleep, 8 minutes of REM sleep and 47 minutes of deep sleep. And so I slept for like 4 hours, 4.5 hours. And then I woke up, or wait, is that right? Bedtime, 2 hours. I slept for 2.5 hours, right? And then I woke up and I completed my running challenge that we'll talk about in future streams, why that's important to gamify HEX and have it not just subconsciously improve mental health, but explicitly improve mental health. And then boom, now I get rested last night, right? and I get my 96 score, and let's look at the actual data. And okay, so not as much deep sleep as we would like, but look at that REM rebound. I really had a lot of dreams about HEX last night.
Sweet pump.
Because I slept. I had dream sleep, REM sleep for 3.5 hours.
And that's shown by the bottom of the chart there, or where the
REM sleep is here.
Oh, okay.
In the middle.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like twitching around like a cat in my sleep and having all these dreams. And then my deep sleep is coming out in 1 hour and 18 minutes. No, that's the boost. Okay. So my real deep sleep that I would have gotten would have been just shy of 2 hours. And there, so that's, wow. I like 4x my deep sleep there. That's crazy.
Not to overdo the analogies, but that boost is like a big payday that happens daily to you. I mean, you can see the benefit on a daily basis. And my question is, when you first started this out, was it less and then over time it becomes more because you almost fall into the pattern of?
No, when I started this, it was like a day or two, and then I was feeling better in my daytime functioning and like emotional regulation and learning and memory and now I don't have to worry about Alzheimer's. I mean, I wasn't worried about it because I'm young, but like it runs in my family. So now I'm able to have do better problem solving. I'm able to. I mean, I got into this like on Christmas. I got this. And so I had already been listening to Richard for a few months, and I had already started buying into HEX. But this is when I was buying the dip. Is when I started using this baby. And
Maddie, I have a question for you. And Band Live Bear has the same question. What's considered a good amount of REM sleep, and for how long? Deep sleep, if all those three things.
So by age it goes down, but I mean, usually it's like if you're getting an hour or an hour and a half, like you're doing really well.
Of REM?
For both, yeah. You want that much REM and that much deep sleep.
I always thought that REM sleep was deep sleep. I didn't realize there was a difference.
Yeah.
Cool. Good question. Thank you.
Good question.
Does that app record napping? If I do, every man polyphasic sleep.
It doesn't. I mean, napping isn't good for you, and it was good for Da Vinci. So, do your own research, but it doesn't like it if you sleep for less than 3 hours. It won't give you a score. So, this is a Philips device, so I don't know how much we trust Philips, but I haven't had them like whispering in my ear while I slept, like programming me to not buy HEX. So I think we're okay there. I mean, to be completely honest, in the first 6 months, I looked at the data a lot, and then now I don't look at it. I looked at it today because I knew I wanted to share it with y'all. But I think that's really important early on. But then it's just like, oh, do I want to sleep better? Yeah, I'm going to put it on.
So if you're in your routine and now you can depend on that data, is that almost why you don't have to check it because it's relatively the same all the time if you're in your routine?
Yeah, the only thing that's important is that I wear it, and then if I want to like get better sleep, then I can look at it and then I can measure that and I can be rewarded by seeing the score, or I can make a challenge with somebody else because I bought one of these for lots of people in my personal life and for family and friends, and you can get a great deal on eBay sometimes. It retails for $400, but we don't want you to sell any HEX, and so that's why I'm going to tell you that you can sometimes find them on eBay for like $150. Even like used, like people say like new in box or like used 3 or 4 times or something, and people I don't know why they don't get it, but that's fine for us. So I buy a lot of them barely used or new in box on eBay. It's sold by Philips through Walgreens and Best Buy. So Best Buy sometimes has them on the shelf, and so you can use this if you want to have better sleep.
Maddie, another great question. I was actually just thinking as well from Tobe 23ler. I was wondering if it affects your dreaming at all, and his question in particular is lucid dreaming. You know, have you had any lucid dreams because of this, or have you ever woken up in the morning right after a dream and then curious to what the pattern is like on the output?
Huh, good question. I want to say maybe I've had like 3 to 5 lucid dreams in my life. Like one of them has been with the band on. I haven't like put much effort into it, which I mean, lucid dreaming is pretty interesting, right?
Right.
So yeah, I mean that's I'm not sure how much it helps, but I know that in order for you to have lucid, yeah, I'm just not gonna say anything that I don't know about. So.
What about just regular dreaming then? Do you dream a lot, or do you not dream a lot? And how
I noticed when I started using it, yeah, I was dreaming more.
Okay. Cool.
Remembering my dreams more. So I can say that.
Maddie, you doing experiments on me is going to be like the Muppets professor on Beaker. So.
Oh yeah.
That's from Lazy for Life. That's funny.
I am a mad scientist. I'll admit it.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I'm intrigued. I didn't realize that we would discuss both of these things tonight, but they go together hand in hand. It's great. I'll certainly be looking on eBay. I'm more in the $150 price range right now for things in the 400, but I don't mind things that are used, and I buy clothes on eBay. I got this I don't know what you call it, a sweater, a fleece. I got this for $15, and I remember when I was younger, I would have the same brand would be $150 at least, brand new. So I'm all for it. I go to Goodwill. I like it. Something that you put on your head though. My first thought was like, wow, I wish I could afford the $400 one. So there's a little bit of like a mental jump I have to get over to do that. But most times, is that washable first of all?
Yeah, there are special instructions for how to wash it, and the app that accompanies it actually gives you reminders and instructions for how to do that.
Cool.
Thank you for the donations, everybody. Thanks for the positive, thanks for the kind words as well.
Yeah, Big Kirkowski's in the house. Thank you. Thank you, Kirkowski.
And to, I want to keep telling my strategies for HEX, even though I realize like it's, like a bad idea, like in one regard, because like now there's gonna be like less HEX for me if everybody else is like using good strategies. But I'm okay with that. Okay, like
right.
I am fine with just like if I can encourage other people, that's gonna make HEX stronger in the big picture, and that's gonna benefit me. So I'm okay with that. But like I will continue to work 50% of my time, like as a counselor and a therapist, so that I do not have to spend any of my HEX on things that I want to buy in my life. And if I really, really, really have to buy something or treat myself, then I'm gonna, sell a little bit of the Bitcoin I have left, right? But I'm not selling my HEX. And you can see that in my staking ladder that I'm happy to share probably at some point soon. And it's like this is good. The HEX is going to be like the generational wealth. It's going to be like, I don't know if I'm going to sell the HEX. Like maybe I'll sell it. I'm not going to make any promises now, but I can tell you like what I am doing right now is I am continuing to work. No matter how high that number goes up, for now, I am continuing to work because I locked in for the long term.
Matt, let's see your ladder because it is incredible.
My ladder?
Yeah, you were on the other night when I was driving. You got on for about 15-25 minutes and you talked about your ladder, and I was really impressed with your approach to it. Mine was pretty random. I tried to throw money in when I could, but I was going for years 1 through 10 first, paying little attention from 11 to 15, and I really like how you did yours. So if I think that would benefit anybody that's a newcomer that's only made a couple stakes and thinking about coming up with a long-term plan. And then if you could just discuss why you did that, regarding the share price.
Sure. I'm transferring the picture now over to to the screen.
And just while you're doing that, the most beautiful one I've seen so far, if anybody hasn't seen it yet, is Brennan's. He posted it on his Twitter. So if you want to follow Brennan on Twitter, look for the post that's about his staking ladder. And it's not in the same shape or pattern that Maddie's is. They are different. They're almost opposite, but the amount of thought that went into Brennan's and how beautiful it looks, it's impressive.
Can you see that?
Yeah, I can't see. I mean, I can see
It's like yeah. Here, let me get the banner out of the way. Like, I don't know. I was trying to make like a cool graphic, and like I couldn't decide like if I wanted all this stuff on top of each other. But like, there it is. Whatever.
I thought you had your actual ladder, Maddie. Can you pull that up, or maybe that take too long?
This is what I'm showing. This is the simplified version of this is my ladder by year.
Okay.
So this is next year, the year after, the year after, the year after, right? And then I've got this like this little climax that happens around here, and it's like, you know, if you only saw this part, it'd be like, whoa, you know, like wow, oh, I'm climaxing so hard right now, right? And then it goes back to normal. And then it's like, that's the best. And this is the principle that I put in, not even the compound interest, not even, you know, the Genesis shares and the Genesis payday, right? This is like, the graph is going to like look so much different once it accounts for all that stuff. I mean, it's like, you know, imagine this part going up 250x, right? And like this part going up 80x is like, going to be even more extreme. So if we know HEX is, we don't know anything, but I believe that HEX is going to go up so much that I don't need to add anything except at the end because this is going to be enough, right? This small little bit each year is, and it really comes out probably like twice a year. But I've got to simplify it here just to show myself that that's going to be enough, in my opinion. And honestly, I might even be like restaking this. So it's stupid to add to that. I need to be adding to the end only because that's how I'm going to get ahead of other people in my league. And that's how I'm going to like put the most amount of rewards out in the future for myself and all that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah, thank you. I was muted. I'm sorry. I was looking for Brennan's shape on Twitter. If anybody has the link to that, if you could send it, or just so that the chat could look at it. Maddie, what I was asking was essentially what you were covering anyways, is that, yeah, for anybody that is new or just didn't know, those yearly bars represent the accumulation, the sum of Maddie's stakes. So
and I've got those mostly coming out two times a year, I think.
So what was cool, like, is what I was visualizing when you told me about it is that, you know, exactly what you said, that it's not just like one amount. It's a little bit here, a little bit there with some spikes, you know, at certain parts of the year for whatever you want. And then the majority of it comes out in the last 33% of your 15-year ladder, you know, the great majority of it. Oh yeah,
definitely. And when I was building my ladder, I initially built it backwards. And so I did kind of, actually what I did initially was I did all of this. I did that part first going backwards. And I was like having an emotional reaction while I was doing it. Like I mentally prepared for like a week or two before I sent like all of my money into the future, right? And like so I'm not going to give the amounts, but like, this is like a significant amount of money for me. And I was just like, I knew I was shooting it out there and I wasn't going to get it back until I like served my time. So.
Maddie, can you pull up from the chat on DLive? Are you able to pull up Brennan's ladder that somebody just sent? Let me see who it was. Band Live Bear just sent it in our DLive chat. It's just it's just so incredible. Like it was so well thought out.
Oh, sweet. Yeah.
Maddie, I'll be right back.
Okay. Oh, dead air. Oh no. Wait, can I play this anthem? All right. Here we go. Brendan's ladder coming right up. Oh, nice. Oh, yeah. This is cool. See, everybody's going to have a different strategy. And we love that, right? Because everybody's a different age. Everybody has a different, everyone has a different risk appetite, different goals, different family situation, right? Like my plan to like keep working and to be like having HEX as only this retirement thing, or this thing that's like maybe like not even that. Maybe I don't even live off my HEX in retirement. Maybe I just keep putting it out there so that I'm motivated to keep going and to keep being productive. And working is good for my mental health, and it allows me to have the type of balance that I like. So we can see, Joe, you're back now.
I'm back, and it looks like I never noticed, Maddie. I didn't realize that Brendan was going to dump on us on big payday. So it looks like I'm sure. I'm just kidding around. I wanted to share what I've learned so far in the process is I made my ladder 1 to 10 years. I also was heavy on 555. I just recently, because of Ski Cat donating the 500,000 HEX, I like I said in the beginning of the episode, I believe, I'm not sure if everybody was here yet, but I did a
that's badass.
Pretty heavy 11, 12, 13, 14. And then now going forward, from what I've learned about dollar costing in, what I plan to do is, save what I can per week from each paycheck. Get either buy HEX right away if the price is right, but hold on to staking it, or hold off on staking it, or maybe buy a stable coin once a week, just so I'm in. And then when Coinbase, or if I can find a place to get me out faster, I'll accumulate my HEX in maybe once a month, just to make it simple for myself. I'm going to send it out in a pattern that's like 50% 15 years from now, and then 10% 14, 10% 13, down to 11. And I'm going to continuously do that. And so, I'm not worried necessarily. I'm not worried at all about money. Not that I don't have bills, but I have financial freedom now because of HEX. I don't worry about money, and it's not just because of this. It's because I know better. It doesn't do any good. I can make money in the meantime. I can spend my cash to live, but I'm looking forward to being able to continue to pay myself in the future, to utilize this product HEX to make my family be in a much more stable place. And I love that what I've learned over the past month about about shares, which when I first got in, it was the last point that I cared about, and it was probably the most important. So, if anyone's new, I'm sure you've heard by now, but make sure that you're trying to get the most T shares that you can, because when the staker class goes back down to whatever percentage that it will be, when all of these huge stakes are ended, the daily interest is such a beautiful thing. I mean, you see that grow, and it's the reason that I keep going with HEX. It's a pumpamental that pulled me in, and it's keeping me here. So just wanted to share that.
Yeah. I mean, like, and it's a question of like what kind of lifestyle are you wanting to live, and your financial goals are so complex. Like there's a reason that there are laws for it, because people screw up giving financial advice, and it's very individualized and everything. My thinking is that I'm going to feel pretty stupid if HEX goes to $1 and I have too much coming out to where I'm just going to have. I mean,
what do you mean if you're top heavy in the front?
Yeah, like exactly. It's like it's a long game, right?
Right.
Like it's a long game, and so that's why I like to remind myself of that, and I like to just like for me, what I've thought is like I'm already good for the next 10 years with like what I've staked, and like now I'm only going as far into the future as I can.
Right.
And like you, Joe, I'm gonna probably come up with some sort of system of buying weekly or monthly, and just though I mean the consideration there is like I don't want to have to in 15 years I don't want to like have to unstake like every day or every week or something like.
Yeah.
But for some people that's what they are going to want to do, right? Like
Right.
So all I can present is kind of what I'm doing and try to explain why, although I'm not sure if I'm fully
and how Matty, how I'm going about it is I typically had one stake that I mirrored that was coming out yearly. So if I had a stake in 2026 coming out, I would again put my next amount for that year on that same day to make it easy for me. But then in retrospect, I've learned that I want to have multiple come out per year. So now I'm filling in the 6 month increment in between those years. Then we know when the time comes and I have more HEX to stake, then I will then I will stake in the 3 month increment. And I probably won't ever go down, just for myself, what I envisioned, anything less than a month. I'd like to be in this, have monthly stakes. If I could do it all over again, regardless of the money, if gas prices weren't an issue, a part of that, I would have monthly stakes come out.
Think about Bitcoin though. Think about if you put in $5 in Bitcoin in 2010, and then it's worth $17 million. Like at some point, it's like, oh shit, I have way too much early in my ladder, and like maybe it doesn't do that, right? Like but again, like my strategy is like I'm gonna keep working. I'm gonna support myself. HEX is not gonna be my strategy for like not working or for like I'm not going to need the money in HEX, I hope, but it's going to be there. And so if that's how I'm playing the game, and if the game could be like so amazingly bigger than I can imagine, right, then I don't think it matters how you play it. I think if you play it with stuff coming out every month early on, and you make it all an equal ladder, or if you do it all at the end, I think you do well either way, right?
Yep. Just to tie it back to what the premise of our show is about, Maddie, and what you and I talk about, paying yourself in the future. To look at a graph, a chart like what you have and what Brendan has, to see the future be more than the near. That's very. It just does something for me. I mine is all over the place, and I'm going to fill it in the pattern like you guys have, where it's more later. And paying yourself further down the road, for me, it does something beyond money. It's increased my spirituality, my mental health, as we're talking about, and I'm looking forward to adding that physical aspect too. But it's that 5-5-5-5 stake that I first made that got me to start thinking about, I want to be around 15 years from now. I want to be as healthy as I can. I want to be at my best. And how can I do that? So that's why I'm excited. I used to squander a lot of my money, spend it on drugs and alcohol, on frivolous things, just waste it. And now if I have some extra money, right? Not money that I need to pay bills, not money that I need to pay my mortgage, money that I can invest like I would in any other commodity or asset. I really truly believe in HEX, and I love the game theory. It's so engaging, and the interface already it's like a video game to me. And we're 360 days in, and we're just talking about yesterday on the 24-hour stream about when the T shares, what's going to happen when the stakes expire. And I mean, there's guys that know so much, myself included, know a little bit, and I'm still learning every day from it. It's amazing. It's complex and it's intriguing.
Yeah, totally. It's really exciting to see where it's going to go. And like you said, it's more than money, and it's orienting you to being around for 15 years and longer, and taking care of yourself so well that you'll be able to enjoy the fruits of your labor and the fruits of your delayed gratification, right?
Right.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, it was cool what I saw. I didn't get a chance. Like I told you, I fell asleep for the 24-hour stream. I was fully intending on watching the whole thing when you were talking, when Richard was also on. And that was like, I couldn't wait to see that part of it. And I ended up just falling asleep. But the part that I caught was about Richard's input on mental health and how he thought, he's the founder of this coin, of this programmable money. And what he's intrigued by is the mental health aspect of what's happening, firsthand, that I can testify to, that other people are sharing in the community. This is an amazing gift that I was given. And to have the founder say that, it's kind of opening up his eyes. It's somebody that's concerned about mental health and also physical health. Richard has done a great job with creating content beyond HEX and spending his time, energy, and money, putting his money where his mouth is, and going into, increasing our age. I forget what the word is, longevity.
Yes.
And also his sci-fi book. Like, all of these things are very much related.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And I guess I just wanted to say that, it was really cool to see Richard talk about that.
Definitely. Yeah. Richard is already a thought leader when it comes to longevity. And so I'm super excited to see this culmination and, kind of natural things that are happening. Because it really seems like there's a synergy building, and that his ultimate goals are really lining up, right? And I've thought about how hard money can make people act right for like 3 years, and I believe that Richard invented the right type of hard money. I used to believe that Bitcoin was hard money, and that's a narrative that they spin. And I think that kind of helped me get my behavior right in a certain way. And that's something that we'll be able to speak more on in the future once I'm better prepared to discuss it in full detail. But I think that that Bitcoin is not hard money because it's not the most immutable money. It's not the most secure. It's secured by consensus, which can change over 100 years. But HEX is locked into an Ethereum contract, or locked into an Ethereum block that was, set in stone in 2019. That's when the contract launched, when the 2,000 lines of code were ossified, and there are no backdoor keys, and it doesn't matter what exe file people click, right? To determine which version of it. There are not multiple versions of HEX. There will not be multiple versions. There are not legitimate forks because it's copyrighted, trademarked, and most importantly, it is locked in code, right? Bitcoin is struggling to add features, and that's kind of funny because they can't decide whether to add features or not. And adding features exposes the fact that they can update a Bitcoin, and that proves that it's not the most secure thing in the world, because you have to ask which version of Bitcoin are people running. And it's open for Sybil attack and other things we've talked about. So even just thinking that you have hard money probably has a good psychological effect on people. But actually having hard money, and we haven't seen that yet. We are going to see HEX will continue to give you mad gains in mental health. But probably not yet for people who don't appreciate it as hard money, because we're still in the Genesis inflation stage. And after this sell-off has occurred, then it's only going to be people who believe in it, who held it, and people locking it up for longer and longer, lowering the time velocity of money. And that's what makes money valuable. It kind of duh, but also like, whoa, because it's like, that's.
Maddie, would you please explain hard money? There's a question in the chat. And I also needed to ask the same question from you before. Could you give an overview of what hard money is, and then maybe perhaps how velocity is involved?
Hell yeah. So hard money is money that can't be printed out of politics. It's fiat money is by decree. The U.S. Used to back their money by gold, and you could exchange it for gold. And the reason gold was the hardest form of money is because it had the lowest stock to flow ratio. So a stock to flow is like, how much more of it can you create, right? And so what does that mean? So
yeah. Because I don't know what stock to flow.
Humans have been looking for gold for 5,000 years, and all the easy gold has been grabbed up. And so there's a real cost to mining gold. And so you can't just make more of it out of thin air. You have to do real work to get more gold, right? And because it's agreed upon, and because it's so hard to make more of, that makes it have good properties of money. Because the monetary policy can't be changed by somebody just changing their policy, right? Like when the Fed wants to prevent a depression, then they just print an extra blank a billion number or trillion number of dollars, right? They printed 3 trillion more dollars, right, for the pandemic, and that causes the value of each dollar to go down. And we see that because the price of things goes up over time. 15 years ago, things cost about half as much as they do now, right? And so there's this like slow bleed of our purchasing power, and that's because they keep printing more and more money, and then whoever gets the money first gets to spend it at the old prices, and then the money works its way through the system. And then once it's gone through a cycle, then it's worth less. And so
we used to have assets that we traded, like started with shells, and then it graduated to gold, and gold was actually something that took effort to get. It took manpower. That we were on that gold standard until we created the fiat system, right? And the fiat, just for anybody that doesn't know, means it's only backed by faith. There's nothing backing our dollar other than the faith that you and I will accept it and swap goods for that. And so by
decree is what it means.
By decree.
Yeah.
Okay. And so the hard money then is the one with the lowest stock to flow ratio, or the highest stock to flow? How is that?
The highest stock to flow. So,
okay.
So you want a huge stock, and then there can only be a low amount created after that.
Okay. So by definition, then, the way that HEX is designed, it fits that definition. Right
HEX did catch up to Bitcoin's first 10 years in the first year now. So the inflation in HEX is now going to be lower than Bitcoin has gotten to by this point.
Right.
And so that is what makes it have the highest stock to flow ratio. But HEX just dumped a third of its Genesis shares on the market on the Genesis payday. And so that is a huge, massive inflation shock to the system that was like handled super well, in fact. But it feels really bad and you're like having this subconscious like kind of like resistance to it. But once the weak hands get shaken out, then it's like now you've set up the hardest form of money ever, because it has a monetary policy that can't be changed. You can't sue HEX and make more of it, right?
Is
you
hard
can't
money
vote a new president and make more of it. You can't spend $1 trillion on mining equipment like Warren Buffett and then get more gold out. There's no mechanism to correct it once it has become as rare as it's going to be. Then it's too bad. I'm sorry. The laws of the universe say HEX is rare now, and if you want it, you have to pay more and more and more and more, right? And there's normally this function of like gold and fiat where, oh, we'll just elect somebody and they'll print more money, or oh, we'll just get more mining. There's so much gold in the ocean. If gold goes to 5,000, then we can just get it out of the ocean, out of the little flakes, and they're floating around. And if gold goes to 10,000, then Elon Musk already created a rocket that can go mine it. But you can't build a rocket for HEX and go get it. It's too bad, right?
Right. That's awesome. Yeah, that's a great way to look at it. Thank you. We've talked about this many times, but I really have a good understanding of it now. Thank you.
Yeah. And this is a choppy explanation because and the chat recognizes that, and that's okay. It's I'm trying to explain like many hours of economics in like a couple minutes, and it's not gonna.
Yeah, no, I need a story to go along with it though, because I mean, a simple one-word sentence of what hard money is, that's great once I understand it. But as someone who didn't understand it, that wouldn't have brought me from start to finish. So I get it. So soft money would be fiat money because it just can be perpetually brought into existence. And the opposite of that is HEX. You're not getting into HEX unless you purchase it on the open market, and that's the one way to buy it. So there's no more making more of it other than the 3.69 max. Yeah.
If we look at how much work would it take to create more dollars, you would have to convince the Treasury Secretary, who took a picture with Flavor Flav right before we got Flav to do a cameo for HEX. And you'd have to get the other guy who loves printing money involved, right? I'm blanking out now.
Ben Bernanke's the last one that I remember. I don't even pay attention anymore to that side of
I can't believe I can't think of it because I always talk shit on him.
How does velocity relate to all of this?
So Richard pointed this out a week or two ago in one of his live streams, and it is so genius, and it made so much sense to me. But sorry, I can't remember if I was listening to a super old stream. I think it was a newer one. But so
thank you.
When you time lock your money like in a bond or something, and when you take it off the market, then the money has a lower velocity because it's not cycling through the system as fast. Because it's making the money that's there more rare if you take it off the market.
So a slower velocity increases price. Is that the right way to think about it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the faster velocity, the lower the price then.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's one way to think of it. Because if all hexagons send all of the HEX 15 years into the future, then it's going to take us. Then the only thing we can do to get more HEX is to wait time, and then people might kick it down the road even further, right? So in order for the supply to come about again, then it requires waiting only. And it doesn't matter how much work you do. It doesn't matter how much equipment you have for mining gold in space. You're not going to get more HEX.
Right.
But the system just dumps so much HEX on the market and it should have crashed the price way more. But some people understand this already, and other people are buying it, whether they care about deep economics or not. But I mean, this has never happened before. Money that's this hard, and Bitcoin had never happened before, and that's like not as. But that's, you could just add more supercomputers and ruin the planet faster. I saw a statistic, and I'm not sure if it's true or not, but at some point it'll be true that sending one Bitcoin transaction burns as much electricity as an entire household for an entire month.
Wow, that's
one transaction.
That's incredible. That's really hard to believe. Wow.
So, and the incentives are in line to just suck more power into the Bitcoin system.
Right.
That's a shame. And sure, we can talk about how much energy the legacy financial system eats up, and we can put our Bitcoin miners in places where the energy wouldn't get used anyway, right? And we can kind of justify it to ourselves, but that doesn't justify having a form of money that actually you could change, right? So we talked about like, how do you make more fiat money is like you change policy, and like, how do you make more Bitcoin? Like also by changing policy, right? How do you make more HEX? There's the policy's unchangeable.
So how can we tie this back then to mental health then, Matty? Just to
So if you look through history, the times where people did 0 to 1 inventions, like Peter Thiel talks about, and the times when like the computer was invented during the golden age when the world was on a gold system, the steel was invented, antibiotics, like the printing press, like just name anything that was invented, and it was invented back then, and now we're just kind of like surfing on all these old inventions because there's no capital destruction. Like businesses can't go out of business, and so that creates like a waste. Like saving isn't rewarded, so so people are incentivized to like gamble their money on companies that aren't doing anything really that great, and so it's just this whole like negative human psychology, and like living for now instead of living for the future causes all these like psychological problems to come out that we'll detail on future shows, right? But sorry, what was the original question?
Just to tie it back into, just because we got kind of off topic into economics, and then to get back into programmable health.
Hard money changes human behavior, and so another example of this is that like there was no world war before they went off the gold standard. Actually, in order to fund World War I, they had to go off the gold standard because nobody in their right mind would pay their gold, their real money. They wouldn't spend their hard-earned money that they could save for the future and that would be worth more in the future on going to kill people far away. You would only spend your money on war if people were coming to kill you in your home country. But so they had to go off the gold standard to fund World War I. And once one country did it, then guess what? The other countries had to do it too, right? And so that kept building, and that's changed money ever since. Before that, people were going off of the hard system, right? In Roman days, I saw a really cool exhibit at a museum where they had all the gold from every point in history ever. And you could see like during the times when there was better monetary policy, like the coins were like, they were designed better, and they like were less like worn out, and they like had cooler faces on them and more detail. And like during bad monetary times, like they would literally clip the coins down to collect taxes. and then they commanded that you still had to accept this like a smaller and smaller gold coin for the same purchasing power. And so it's been, when power gets centralized throughout thousands of years, we know that that there is a collapse of the morality and people acting right and productivity and stuff, which is why HEX is going to change the world in this subconscious way, or this like monetary policy way, is because it's hard money that will really revolutionize things. And it's probably going to take a number of conversations for me to be able to really express this in a coherent way. But I appreciate your listening, and I'm truly honored by all of our viewers, because I know that they're all incredibly smart, interesting, and talented people. So thank you all.
Let's I agree. Thank you.
My ramble.
So what can we, back to the topics of discussion that we planned as far as the omega-3,
so yeah,
head device. I just have some questions on, like, was there a period of time where you didn't do either one and you could start to feel a difference again, that you started to have a lapse in your mental health because of that?
With these two things, once I realized that they made a noticeable difference in my life, right? Like taking a multivitamin does not make a noticeable difference in my life, right? And so I still do it from time to time. But with the omega-3 and the sleep device, I do it regularly because I can feel the difference when I started it. And so I haven't gone off the omega. The omega-3 is a little bit different because it creates a structural change, right? It takes the oligodendrocyte glial cells in between a week and a month to install the electrical insulation and in the prefrontal cortex, and that's what makes your behavior better. And is there and then that is going to continue for a certain period of time, even if you don't take the omega-3. But
afterglow effect.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, and because it takes a while for the insulation to get worn down again. But but a lot of my clients say that when they stop taking it, that they do notice a decrease in functioning. And so I don't necessarily believe that. I believe that, well, it's when your life is already getting more stressful, and then you're so off your game that you stop taking the omega-3, then
right.
That's why your game is off, not because you stopped taking the omega-3. But then again, there's this reduction in inflammation, technically, because your blood is getting a little bit thinner in a healthy way. So I could see it both ways. And I'm not a rat scientist right now, so I'm not going to be able to answer that.
Maddie, somebody brought up in the chat a while ago, they were talking about your experience with alcohol and marijuana with that sleep device. And then I was thinking about CBD oil, the fact that you just brought up inflammation. I wanted to ask you what your perspective on CBD oil is. Is that something that you utilize? Do you promote that to patients?
I tried it, and it slowed me down too much. I could feel my thinking be too slow, and I didn't like it.
From CBD, not from
CBD. Wow. CBD, yeah. And I slept really well, but then even the next day, my thinking was slower. So, but with people who have anxiety and PTSD and sleep problems, sometimes that might be right for them, and they can talk to their medical doctor and follow the laws in their jurisdiction. And that can be helpful. I've never had a problem with alcohol or cannabis. But I work with a lot of people who have, and so they get a lot of benefits from total abstinence from those substances, and using omega-3 as a way to prevent relapse and to improve the functioning of the prefrontal cortex, and be proud of themselves for making a behavior change that doesn't take too much effort. I was also going to say I take 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C every day. Because that improves immune function, and that's one of the ways, that's one of the future breakthroughs of mental health will continue to be improved immune system functioning, because it turns out that the immune system is part of our mental health. Physical health is mental health, yada yada. And
Right.
During a pandemic, it doesn't hurt either to take 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C. But that, I wouldn't say it's been a noticeable effect, but I would say there's enough research that that I think it's right for me to do that, because vitamin C can increase your energy too.
Cool. I wanted to just speak for a minute if I could. There was a question about lithium before, and right now edible cannabis, 5-HTP. I have experience with all of those, and I was given lithium as a small dose, not for bipolar, but because of my head injury. It was supposed to help with my memory loss. And the comment was that lithium was pretty dangerous, and certainly not medical advice, but lithium absolutely destroyed my life. It was a big part of the downward spiral that happened. So it also had the effect of helping my memory get back to nearly 100%. So it was certainly a double-edged sword for me. And my experience with marijuana, and particularly edibles, and I've been an advocate of marijuana my entire life up until recently. For me, it's just no longer right anymore. I don't enjoy the side effects of it. I function at a much higher level. I'm much more creative without it, regardless of what I used to tell myself. Edibles versus 5-HTP. 5-HTP for me was extremely beneficial. It's something I would recommend that people try. And again, this is not medical advice, so this is just my perspective. But 5-HTP, I thought, was something that was going to be pulled off the market because of actually the way that I could feel, like Maddie is talking about fish oil, excuse me, I'm sorry, not fish oil, omega-3s. I felt a similar growth in my brain. I felt like I was more clear, more deeper thinker, better to articulate when I was taking that. But I don't have a long enough time where I could say that, my baseline with it was very short. So I just wanted to address the chat and talk about the things that I have experienced. What I have found that worked for me is a mental, spiritual, and physical, like, triangle that I'm trying to grow all three at once. And so if I spend any too much time in one direction, it's like if you're drawing a circle and you start to triangle out in one way, like you're really not going to increase the whole surface area as well if you went in three even directions everywhere. So I try to do the best that I can with the simple things in life, with Maslow's hierarchy of needs, is as funny as it may sound, just taking care of my sleep, my diet, the air that I breathe. And then that allowed me to focus on things like my safety and belonging. And then, once I have all that, I can start to move up that ladder. And I really enjoy sharing that with people, because it's almost like something that we overlook. And especially as somebody with my experience, I have in-depth experience with one-on-one therapists, group therapy, substance abuse, everything you can imagine. And in all of those places, very rarely is it talked about the simple things. You walk into a doctor's office and you walk out with a medication, and really, like, we could have just addressed sleep. We could have just addressed diet, like Maddie's trying to help us all with, and those things will then allow me to spend more time and energy in areas that I should be. So I found that hungry, angry, lonely, tired, right? HALT is really big, right? Like if I'm upset or angry, it's probably one of those things: hungry, angry, lonely, tired. So I address that as quickly as I can. And I do that through routine. I'm like a robot with routine. And once I fall out of routine, I can certainly feel the negative effects, especially in my thinking, in my communication with others, in the way I judge other people, in my ability to make decisions, so I go at a holistic approach, and yeah, I just wanted to touch on that.
Hell yeah.
Cool.
That's awesome. I second that.
And psilocybin for mental health is gaining traction. I've done microdosing before. I've taken ketamine for therapy, MXE, Also, I'm forgetting it now, but ecstasy. What's the name for ecstasy? The technical name. MDMA. Thank you. I've gone through all of those. Psilocybin is the only one that I feel like doesn't have any negative side effects. I certainly wouldn't promote the use of drugs. In my personal experience, psilocybin has been very helpful for me. It's been helpful for me to connect to my inner self and to more people. The other ones have a lot of side effects. You know, the ketamine infusions. There's a Spravato spray now that you go and you sit in a doctor's office and they give you the direct, spray up your nose. And those things all have side effects. As while they were treating one thing very well for me, there was, an ugly monster that popped up on the other end. So I would caution anyone to just caution everyone about those substances. They're very powerful, all of them.
So MDMA and ecstasy burn out the serotonin receptors in the brain, and that's how you would experience like pleasure, and so that can lead to a lot of depression. That really was thought of as irreversible. It turns out they're finding maybe some of those serotonin receptors can grow back, and humans have are adaptive beings, and so there are other ways to adjust for that. But I caution people not to use ecstasy and MDMA going forward. With HTTP5, or wait, what? I think I just gave a website out. But I did a little bit of a dive into this science on that over the summer for a client, and one of the concerns there is again that it kind of uses up your serotonin resources, and then the system doesn't catch up as well, and so it might make you feel good and give you energy temporarily, but that comes at the expense of decreased functioning a week or two later. And so there are certainly, I think that there are enough behavior changes that are known to be super powerful, right? That don't have as many side effects, right, that are negative as and so that's why I usually encourage people to start out with stopping the electricity from leaking out of the prefrontal cortex by using 1,000 milligrams of omega-3 once per day with food for the first week, 2,000 milligrams thereafter each day, and then that's really that's it's $6 for a month's supply, and right, you can find it easily. And Mayo Clinic and Johns Hopkins are like, oh, don't get more than 3 or 4 grams, which is 3 to 4,000 milligrams of omega-3 per day regularly, right? Because remember, we don't want our blood to be way too thin. So if you're only eating fish, you're probably already covered, right? And so you don't need to add more. If you're a raging user of alcohol, then that's going to thin your blood. So go ahead and cut back on that before you're taking omega-3. But omega-3 is going to be really helpful for a lot of people because of the lack of it in our diets.
So Maddie, what do you think about, you and I making a social contract, or, trying to build social capital through me committing to this, and we'll, see how it goes and check in with everybody? Is that?
I love that.
Something we can do? Okay.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
Cool. I'm looking forward to it.
So are you willing to make a tweet about it?
Yeah, definitely. I'm willing to put it out there and hold myself accountable, and better myself.
Because that's what Richard asked me to do when I recklessly claimed to want to hold myself accountable and demonstrate this idea of how our community can improve each other's health as kind of one of the functions of HEX even. And there'll be more that we'll be able to discuss on that in the future. But he asked me to make a tweet, and I made a tweet, and then I did my running challenge and completed it and posted. And so that would be awesome if you're willing to make a post that is explaining the behavior change that you want to make with taking omega-3, and then we can give you praise and
yeah, that'd be great. And Band Live Bear in the chat says sign me up. So I was just thinking, maybe we can make this a community endeavor somehow where, it's great that you and I don't have this thought out at all. So, you and I'd love to hold myself accountable through you, but perhaps we could do it as a group if anybody wants to be involved. And
yeah,
I'll send out the tweet if you want to retweet it or tag us in your own tweet. And then, if we're pretty much winding down, maybe.
Yes.
You want to ask if anybody's got some questions for Maddie or I, and anything that we've talked about tonight. We'll be on for a few more minutes. If you want to type something into the chat, we'll try to address it. And Maddie was telling me last night what he said was he was going to run 3.69 miles, and he put that out there, so that somebody else could, see whether hold him accountable and see whether or not he did it. And so he said that if he didn't do it, he was going to burn 10,000 HEX. And that's first thing I said when Maddie told me that is, please send it to my ETH address. Don't burn it. And it's because, what Richard said, my interpretation is like, first of all, HEX is so valuable. Like burn $10,000, don't burn 10,000 HEX, and
that's
really,
that's probably bad modeling bad behavior. And so it's going to take our work as a community to figure out what the right system is going to be for having this like new function of HEX in terms, because I really think that that HEX is going to be a way to not only keep promises to yourself about your saving behavior, saving for the future, but I think we could actually program in other behavior changes as well. And so there's going to be this like subconscious effect of HEX that Joe's story perfectly illustrates, that it made him look 15 years into the future and want to be around for that because the community is awesome and because he's keeping promises to himself and all these other things that he explains so well in his video. And by having predictable monetary policy, people will save more and act right. And so there's going to be these subconscious effects of HEX. But I think that there are also going to be explicit, conscious ways to change your behavior by staking HEX or by using your social capital in the community to encourage healthier behavior so that you'll be able to live longer and have a longer health span, not just a longer lifespan. Somebody asks, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say there's a question, Matt, if you want to address it. From Band Live Bear, thoughts on ketogenic diet cannibalizing bad cells to heal your body and brain? For the food poisoning while on keto helps eat plaque in your brain and can heal brain traumatic injuries. Wow.
Oh, that's cool.
I never heard that.
Food poisoning helps people?
Yeah. Yeah. That's what Band Live Bear has heard. It makes sense if it's, if that is what it's doing, if it's just eating up the plaque. I don't know enough to speak on it.
So glial cells are supposed to clean up the brain. Macrophages and those guys. It'd be interesting to see what the basic research is and see if that if that matches up with what people are thinking. That sounds like a very specific point that you're making, Live Bear. So that might
we got to be careful. We don't want to give out advice if it's something that we're not really familiar with.
Because the plaques, that's the thing that they thought was the what was causing Alzheimer's. Plaques and tangles, right? As you get older, your neurons get all gummed up and wrecked, and when they're not plebs anymore and they're past their expiration date. But it turns out that was not what was causing Alzheimer's. That was an effect, and
okay. So, I guess I'm understanding more of his question too. Not that I have an answer, but so while you're on the keto diet, then so while your body is in a state of ketosis.
Oh yes, yeah. Okay, yeah, that's true. There are these special fasting things that you can do that like causes like new cells to occur that when otherwise like your organs are actually like pumping out like newer, healthier cells that live longer when you do one of the, it's like a special diet. My dad does it like 3 or 4 times a year where he goes down to something like really extreme, like it goes down to like 600 calories a day or 800, or it's some like low number for like 3 or 4 or 5 days, and that causes Genesis. You get Genesis shares of new of new organ cells. Yeah, very awesome point. Thank you for bringing that up. That's awesome.
Cool. He's also saying that the blood rushing to your brain while you are aggressively throwing up could potentially be healthy. I've never heard anything like that, and I wouldn't be surprised though. I mean, I don't know. There's a good and a bad to everything that the body does. It's every function that it has is a counterpoint and a benefit. Hopefully,
some things are better than others.
Well, yeah, but I mean, when you have food poisoning, you're throwing up, and the benefit is you're getting rid of what's making you sick. And so maybe the negative is you have a terrible stomach ache and bad breath, and you have acid in your esophagus now. So.
Yeah, poisoning does damage to cells usually. So
yeah,
but do your own research. And
looking at the bright side, it's like it's buying while the price dumped. You're the benefit of having food poisoning in one particular case.
No, don't poison yourself until we have more evidence.
I'd be willing to do this for the community, Matt. If
hell yeah.
If Band Live Bear says that I should be on ketosis and we'll eat some bad sushi, we'll,
Oh yeah, I'd be down for that. Yeah, like well, not bad sushi, not food poisoning, but this calorie restriction thing for like four days where like your organs start pumping out brand new cells. Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, we'll be doing health challenges and living longer to tell about them. How about that?
Cool. So tonight when we get off, Maddie, I'll send out a tweet. If anybody wants to, to follow me on Twitter, I'm Joe Hexotic, and Maddie is Maddie Allen. It's MATIALLIN. And I'm going to tag Maddie in the tweet if you want to jump in the thread, and we'll hold each other accountable as a group. We'll see how this goes and see what the next 30 days is like with taking omega 369. That sounds great. So I don't know if anybody else has any last minute questions, but it's a good time to wrap it up for me, man. You want to?
Yeah, you said you're Hexotic Joe on Twitter.
On Twitter I am. I'm sorry. Thank you. I am Hexotic Joe. I am also Joe Hexotic, but I got to figure out how to get back into the account. So the account that everybody has been following that I use lately is Exotic Joe. No underscore, just one word. Thank you, Maddie.
Awesome. And I am allmylinks.com/all-in. Oops, here we go. That's where you can find me. Thank you so much, everybody, for listening. Your attention is very valuable because we respect you so much, and we hope that this has been helpful. we'll be back again in the future when our t-shirts continue paying out, and we'll be here to do more hex therapy next time. So for now, thank you again. Best wishes. Stake wisely, my friends. See you next time.
If you could make sure you follow us, just so we could maybe,
Please.
It would be awesome, because I just saw that Discourse is on. So if we could raid Discourse, with 31 more followers, that'd be great. We can't, so we're gonna head over to the Discourse Syndicate chat room, and and also Wall Hex has had a great name for it, the 369 challenge. So I like that. Well,
oh, nice.
Certainly hashtag the 369 challenge in there, and thank you everybody for participating. And Maddie and I will be back on Thursday, Thursday after Hexo show with Hex Therapy Live. We'll see you guys over there. Maddie, you want to take us out? Yeah,
I do. Now I did this once before. I don't remember how I did it.
Oh, I thought you needed 200
followers. How do we
followers.
host them?
I think you need 200 followers, Maddie. I don't think we're able to do it yet.
Oh, okay. So we'll just put the link in the chat.
Yeah, cool. I mean, everyone here is I'm sure familiar with Discourse. If you're not, we will put the link in the chat for anyone that's just stumbled upon us.
Yeah, make it easier for people to just jump over there.
Thank you, Maddie. All right, thank you, everybody. Have a good night.
Thanks, Maddie, everybody.
We'll talk to you soon, Maddie. Thank you.
Outro music. Everybody got the link? See you next time.